It's officially 2024, folks, and we are back. The breakdown starts now. Good evening and welcome to the breakdown. I'm Tara Setmayer. This is the Rick Wilson, and we're back, folks. We are back. It is not
Now we're going to have
slow
to get used
start.
to it once a week again.
I know we are back once a week. It's mainly because you guys have said, why aren't you on every week? So we were like, we'll be on every week when the election starts.
By the end of this, I'll mount
started.
cameras throughout my house, and it'll be like some sort of reality TV show. You just follow me around yelling at the phone all day.
I know. Could you imagine a Lincoln Project reality show would be really
we tried that. Let's not do that again.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. different time. It's a new and improved Lincoln Project in 2024. Yeah. Well, guys, there has been no shortage of news happening. Rick, I left you unsupervised last week with our good friend Denver Riggleman. I heard good things. I popped in for a quick second and then let you guys do your thing. So,
you were on the Canary Islands and have a glamorous lifestyle. I love that.
Well, hold on. It wasn't quite glamorous. I mean, we were in the Canary Islands, but we were hiking a mountain that was 12,000 feet. And there was nothing glamorous about it. Trust me. It was hard work. It was insane, but it was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So
I love that.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. So I figured the challenge, if I could do that, we could take on Trumpism and defeat this fucker in 2024. And so that was my personal goal for the start of the new year. So
I'm happy you did it. I'm happy you got a last couple of days off, because we're going to be a 24/7 operation for the rest of this year, folks. It's going to be a long and very intense battle.
Yes, and frankly, if what we've seen in the last just couple of days is any indication of what the rest of this year is going to be like, oh boy, we're all gonna have to eat our Wheaties. What is happening? Well, we've got a good show for you coming up, as always. There's chock full of newsy bits. We've got the chaos on Capitol Hill. I mean, any week where you have a conversation about the president's son and his balls and pornography in a committee hearing is an interesting week, I'd say. That happened this week on Capitol Hill. We've got Donald Trump in more than one courtroom in more than one place, in DC and in New York. Trump, I mean, it's just, you couldn't make this stuff up.
No, you couldn't.
You couldn't. We've got Iowa right around the corner, finally, where ballots are actually going to be cast. That's on Monday. The Iowa caucus is right around the corner.
I'm going there on Saturday.
Oh, God bless you. That is a frozen tundra.
The goddamn temperature is supposed to be like -15 degrees. Y'all, I'm from Florida. I've been to some cold places in my life. I've been to Shimia, Alaska in the wintertime. I've been to some cold-ass places. I am having real mental challenges conceiving. Or Jeff Timmers, that's like light sweater weather.
Well, he's from Michigan.
when the invitation came in, I said to Renee, she's like, you have no coat like that. I said, I'll just wear a sweater and my barber jacket. She's like, stop it.
Oh, no. I mean, I don't know where you go in Tallahassee, Florida to get cold weather gear, but it's called Amazon.
Yeah, it's called Amazon.
Amazon or REI or one of those places overnight it, because you're going to freeze your ass off. But I love Iowa. Iowa's a cool place. I've been there. I have good friends there. And as a Jersey girl, I never understood the Iowa nice until I went there. And I could not understand why everyone was so freaking nice to me. It was weird. I'm like, why is everyone so nice?
It's a little like, why are you being so kind? What's your agenda?
It was like a foreign concept. But the funniest thing about Iowa to me was their little convenience stores called Come and Go.
Yes. And I further despondent saith not.
I was like, Wawa and 7-Eleven.
Oh, really?
It ain't. Come and Go. Hey.
I didn't even know it.
Oh my God. It's only 7:05, folks. Rick Wilson's already on a roll.
Yes, I'm already loose.
God.
I'm loose.
Oh my God. I'm telling you. Well, there's some other stuff that's going on too that's actually a lot more serious that Rick's going to talk about, and it's in line with political violence.
Yep.
And Rick being a victim of a swatting incident this week, which was really scary for everyone. And he wasn't alone. So we're going to talk more about that a little bit. So stay tuned for Rick's harrowing experience with the SWAT team this week at his house. But before we get into all of that, it's Thursday. So that means last week in the Republican Party. Roll it.
I would like, Paula, for you to give me a reading on President Trump. What is that?
I mean, I do recognize that I'm at Fox TV. I have a sense of loss.
Bing, 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 boom, she.
What the hell is wrong with the Republican Party in the U.S.?
I'll give you a two-word answer, Donald Trump.
Give me a glass of water. Let me drop it on the magnets. That's the end of the magnets.
The guy had Vanilla Ice at his New Year's Eve party.
Ice Ice Baby, Ninja Rap. Like, what do you want from us? We're doing everything super cool at Mar-a-Lago.
She's a globalist, you know. She likes the globe.
With every pile-on, every new charge, it seems to help him in the polls. What do you attribute that to?
Derangedness.
The Republican Party in the Congress majority has zero accomplishments.
Up next, the climate change cult is now declaring war on your house plants.
I have concerns about the treatment of January 6 hostages.
Release the J6 hostages, Joe.
I had black friends growing up.
I'm going to be a dictator.
They attack me because I like Jesus.
You're not going to be a dictator.
I was the first one to endorse President Trump. I don't know where the other 31 are. I guess they're waiting for a phone.
I'm going to be a dictator for one day.
Can you name another state you could win?
Yes. You wait till what happens when we get out of Iowa. It's going to create a lot of. We're going to be able to win a lot of states. We have a great organization in New Hampshire. We have a great organization in South Carolina.
Do you think you could win New Hampshire?
I need somebody with arms, strong enough to rustle the deep state, and yet gentle enough to deliver his own grandchild. Somebody to ruffle the feathers, tame cantankerous World Economic Forum, come home hungry, have to wait until the First Lady is done with lunch with friends, then tell the ladies to be sure and come back real soon, and mean it. So God gave us Trump.
God. Mom, I can't do it.
Listen.
Every week, last week in the Republican Party symbolizes how collapsed they are as political figures, as humans, as everything, right? But I mean, this week, from Elise Stefanik and the utterly absurd ass kissing she's doing. I mean, right now, if Donald Trump came to a sudden halt, Elise would pop out of his mouth. She has her head so far up his ass. She so wants to be VP. It's crazy. She's telling everybody in Washington she's lining herself up for the vice presidency. Her people are telling everyone she's the logical choice to be VP. They've already started picking out curtains in the observatory, and she really wants that job.
No shit.
Including telling horrific lies. And somebody asked her this week, a reporter asked her this week, could you name some of the people that are hostages? Could you name one?
It wasn't Kristen Welker who asked her that, by the way.
I will tell you what Elise Stefanik's story is, and I'm going to be very blunt about it right now. Elise was a Bush Republican. She was a George W. Bush Republican.
Mm-hmm.
She is play acting. She is fooling the MAGAs. She is out there with a combination of Ozempic and filler right now, trying to look the part for Trump because he demands that they look like central casting. Yep. And this is a person who is so desperate for that job and so painfully abasing herself for that job that it's remarkable that she doesn't walk around full time, with a black cloud over her head because she's humiliated herself on such a regular basis for a man who's undeserving in every way.
Yeah, I called her the Kellyanne Conway of the campaign this election cycle for Trump.
And her main consultant, this guy named Alex Steffens, he looks like somebody who's going to get arrested outside of a Chuck E. Cheese one day with a plastic bucket over his junk. I mean,
oh my God, Alex DeGrasse. You mean Alex
DeGrasse? Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's He's a prize, that one. And
he's got a wispy porn mustache.
Yeah, and he seemingly likes to defame the Lincoln Project oftentimes in his comments. So, we got under their skin because we called Elise Stefanik out for being the despicable opportunist that she is. And for folks who didn't see it, I suggest you watch the clip of her on Meet the Press with Kristen Welker on Sunday, which is what we're referring to, where she reinforced Donald Trump's characterization of the January 6th domestic terrorists as hostages, and also had no problem with Donald Trump calling immigrants vermin. She had no problem with any of that, with the poisoning the blood of America stuff. No.
Right.
We're all the assholes for calling out the Hitler-esque nature of his comments. No. But she is just really someone who, as I said on MSNBC this week, has sold every ounce of her soul to gain political power and relevance. And it's really her, Lindsey Graham, Kellyanne Conway, all of these people who knew better and know better, who continue to do this because they get off on this intoxicating idea of being in power. And it's we can't let them get away with it. We have to keep calling them out on it. And 100%. I'm glad. I don't know who that person was that questioned her about the hostages, but that's what they need to do. You've got to push back on this. You've got to push back on it.
You have to do it. And look, it's the obligation of reporters in this country not to echo both sides of a lie. That was a flat lie. Welker should have said to her
immediately,
"You are lying. Goodbye. Leave my set."
Yeah, or just stopped her, like at least challenged her, because I understand they want access and they want these people to come back on, but it should not be at the expense of normalizing this bullshit propaganda. It shouldn't.
Look, I had not seen that clip of DeSantis getting railed a minute ago by two reporters saying, "What state can you win?" And he's just lying about it. And that was exactly the way you frame an interview when people are in a culture and a party that is dedicated to a constant stream of big lie techniques.
Yes, you have to do that, which is sort of what happened last night during the GOP debate between Haley and DeSantis. I was glad. Jake Tapper and Dana Bash are some of the best in the business, and they didn't let them get away with too much BS.
I wish they'd gotten to the Trump element, because it really is the determining thing earlier in the process.
Yes. Well, they started to, right? They asked the question, and we have this clip early on in the debate last night. They asked this question: does Donald Trump have the character to be president? And Nikki Haley and DeSantis gave these, bullshit answers. None of them could answer it straight. Here's the clip.
Right.
Do you believe Donald Trump has the character to be president again?
Well, I think the next president needs to have moral clarity. When you look at Donald Trump, I have said, I think he was the right president at the right time. I agree with a lot of his policies, but his way is not my way. I don't have vengeance. I don't have vendettas. I don't take things personally.
Sure, Nikki. Sell me another.
I don't understand this. I do, but I don't. It's so frustrating. It's a simple yes or no question. And if you have to think about whether Donald Trump has the character, you're disqualified. This isn't an easy question.
But let's be real, Tara. Nikki Haley is a woman who struggled last week with the question of where you come down on slavery.
I know. I know. Well, I've said
Stuart was joking. Stuart and I were on a call this morning. He said to somebody, he's like, it's hard to imagine that we live in the year 2024 and somebody actually had to have their campaign people go, let's do a focus group on where we come down on what slavery's role was in the Civil War.
In the Civil War. It's insane. It's just insane. But the part about this that upsets me the most about this character question, because everyone knows, all of these people in the Republican Party, they know that Donald Trump doesn't have the character to run a garbage company. All right. Like, he has no character whatsoever, but they are normalizing this lack of character. Like, there was a time where character meant something, and people in this country actually felt as though their leaders needed to have some character. They needed to have integrity.
It wasn't just like a little bit of a thing, Tara. It was a central issue for people. Is this person a man or woman of integrity and character? And now it's like,
and that's valid. But that's a valid qualification
Of
for
course,
someone
but
you
now
want
we've got
to.
a party that says basically like, yeah, it's okay if he murders people in the street. Cool.
Right. That's
Cool story,
right.
bro.
And but that's not the only thing he said. I mean, there are a litany of things that are so outrageous and disqualifying that demonstrate his character or lack thereof, that in any other time but this one and everywhere else except Earth 2 where these people live, that would be like there would be no question. They impeached Bill Clinton over a character issue. I remember all of that. I was around.
We were there.
Okay, we heard all the sanctimonious speeches on the House floor about Bill Clinton's lack of character. I mean, that wasn't all that long ago. It really wasn't. And here we are. And you know who else? I mean, we're not going to go through all of the back and forth with the debate last night. I mean, I thought Nikki Haley wiped the floor with DeSantis most of the time, but it doesn't fucking matter. Like it doesn't matter.
You know what? I wrote this today. I said, to be politically incorrect, it's like being the tallest of the seven dwarves. You're still not the main character in the story. Trump is still a main character in the Republican story, and neither one of them last night would do what Chris Christie did yesterday, which is to come out and say, "I'm going to work against this guy." Now, Christie went almost far enough, in my view. I'd like him to go further. I hope he does. I think he will. But Christie said, "I'm not going to endorse either one of them because they think that Trump is above the law."
Yes. And they said they would pardon him. Both of them. They're still playing footsie with Trump. And so at least to Chris Christie's credit, and he gave a good parting speech yesterday. And that's great. And I hope that the next step needs to be he needs to endorse Biden and campaign, because he represents that group of the Bannon line voters that we target, and people like him need to give them a permission structure to not vote Republican.
There was never a constituency in this primary for a Chris Christie MAGA voter.
Right.
There were voters in this primary, and I think some of them also are in the Haley camp as well, who are certainly going to be open to voting for President Biden when they find out that the choice is what it was always going to be, and that was Donald Trump. And my admonition to a lot of folks on Democrats and progressive friends right now, you should really embrace Chris Christie. Even though you know his past, you know the flaws, I will take courage late better than courage never.
That's true. It's taken me a little bit to get there.
Oh, no, Tara, listen, I have been very hard on Chris over the years. I've written some very, very nasty things about him, and I was right. And look, here's the thing. The Republicans have a rule, folks. It's called no enemies to my right. That's why they will accept the support of any crazy person, any Nazi, any conspiracy person. They don't have any enemies that, as long as the people are pulling in the same direction as they are. Mm-hmm. Now, that is a morally questionable tactic by and large.
Yes.
But we live in a time where it's a binary choice. You should take every ally you can get right now who can defeat Donald Trump. And Christie can play a part in that. And although she will not, I still want to say the words to manifest them a little bit. Nikki Haley could have a role in forming a new Republican Party when this is over, if and only if she does the right thing. I think there's about as much chance as a meteorite striking me in the head in the next 2 minutes.
I'm not holding my breath with her, because we don't need people like that. For those of us who are, politically homeless and still right of center in their political beliefs, I don't want someone like Nikki Haley who cannot take a stand on the most basic things. She's got to prove she's bigger than what she is right now. Right. And she hasn't. She has not risen to the occasion when it comes to the most important things. Is she a good politician? Yeah, sure. She checks the boxes, and she's a good debater, and she's your quintessential politician, but she can do debate. She takes debate prep clearly. Yeah, that's great. Good for her. But when it comes down to the real issues that matter and what we need, if there's going to be the rebuilding of some kind of center-right party, she's not the person I want there. And
no, listen, I don't either. What I'm saying though is like,
no, I know, but I'm just saying, who else knows that she doesn't have it and she's not going to be able to rise to the occasion? It's Chris Christie. He got caught on a hot mic moment. Hours before
he's gonna get smoked.
Hours before the debate, he when he decided that he was gonna drop out and he did it at this town hall, he got caught on a hot mic. We have it.
People don't want to hear it, Wayne. They don't want to hear it. We know we're right, but they don't want to hear it.
Right.
And there's, we couldn't have been any clearer.
Right.
We couldn't have been any more direct or worked any harder. So,
Let's not forget she spent $68 million.
Yeah.
I mean, we've spent like.
Well, when you give land to China and places like that.
Yeah, that's what you get.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, she spent $68 million so far, just on TV. Spent $68 million so far, $59 million by DeSantis, and we spent 12. I mean, who's punching above their weight and who's getting a return on their investment, And she's going to get smoked, and you and I both know it. She's not up to this.
She hasn't even been.
And she's still 20 points behind Trump in New Hampshire, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he's still going to carry Iowa, right?
Yes. Always. I talked to DeSantis called me, petrified that I would.
He's probably getting out after Iowa.
Well,
I wanted to hear more about what DeSantis said when he called him.
Right?
I was like,
Go on.
Please go on. But yeah, and just for those of us, who are in this business and wear microphones all the time, you never talk. Once you put a mic on, never say anything that you don't want the entire world to know. Everyone
And no
knows
matter
this.
how much you have to pee, ask the mic tech to please shut your channel off before you go to the bathroom.
You don't want any Naked Gun moments. But how many
Guys,
times?
we've all been there.
Not all of us. I mean, it's a little difficult as a woman to go to the bathroom mic'd up. So that's not happening for us. However, Chris Christie, he could have said worse things, I guess, but it just goes to show you that everyone knows that this whole Nikki Haley surge and the media's obsession with wanting her to have this horse race against Trump, she's a paper tiger when it comes to that. Yeah. She's not going to make it. She's going to get her ass handed to her in her own home state, even if by some miracle she beat Trump in New Hampshire. It's not going to matter. It's not going to matter. Plenty of people have won New Hampshire that never go on to make to become the nominee.
Just ask President Ted Cruz, President Mike Huckabee, and President Rick Santorum.
Right, exactly. It doesn't freaking matter.
And President Pat Robertson. I mean, get the hell out of here.
I know. And it goes back to the character issue. And I want to play something because we were talking about the role of Chris Christie and the importance that someone like him will have when it comes to those bottom line voters in swing states, because they're going to be the people that determine the election.
For sure.
You have somebody like Sununu, right? Governor Sununu, Chris Sununu up there in New Hampshire, who's running around. I don't know. Somebody needs to take the caffeine out of this guy's coffee or whatever it is, because he is just entirely too hyped up all the time. He gives me, it gives me agita. I can't.
It gives me agita. Like, I know. I feel the same way.
Calm
it's
down.
Like watching, like, bro, take a breath.
Yes. Like, what are you snorting pixie sticks? Like, what is calm down? Take some CBD or something. I don't know. He's way too hysterical all the time. But he was on an interview last night doing an interview with Caitlin Collins after the debate, because he's a big Nikki Haley booster, right? He endorsed her and this and that.
Yeah.
And people consider him to be a normie.
Sure, pretty much.
There aren't any more, right? We've been trying to say there aren't any more normies, but okay, fine. If you all want to believe that, that's fine. But every time one of their normies does something that further goes down the Donald Trump way, we told you so. And here's a perfect example.
Changes.
It never changes. Chris Sununu was on with Caitlin Collins last night, and she asked him about the character issue with Trump and whether he would still vote for him if he were a convicted felon. Please watch this. My head almost exploded.
Amazing.
Watch this.
One thing that Governor DeSantis brought up when he was asked about that tonight is he believes that Trump is going to be on trial. And he was talking about that being a distraction. But, Governor, there's also a chance that the former president could be a convicted felon by the time people are voting. I mean, even if he's a convicted felon, if he is the Republican nominee, does that mean you're still going to vote for him?
Look, I think right now, most of America, it looks like they would vote for him because he's winning. He's busy. Biden is so bad that Trump is actually beating Biden in most polls.
But what about you,
so
Governor?
Most of America is right there. Yeah, I'm going to support the Republican nominee. Absolutely. Yeah, like that shouldn't shock anybody. That shouldn't be a surprise to anybody that the Republican governor and most actually of America is going to end up going against Biden because they need to see a change in this country. I know, again, have the issues around the election changed the dynamics of the Republican primary? No. That's not an issue right with the Republican base right now. It's just not, and clearly not one that's holding the American public at large back because, again, Trump is up 1 point. I love Nikki Haley because she's up 10, 15 points on Biden. She wins Senate seats and House seats and governorships and brings all of those other opportunities to the states and the country to actually get stuff done. But, make no mistake about it. Biden is that bad of a president that even Trump would win.
No,
What's the key part of that, Sarah? I'll vote for the Republican nominee. So he's saying, even if he's a felon, even if he is a guy who says his lawyers say he should be able to kill people, he will vote for the Republican nominee who is under right now 91 charges in 4 separate criminal indictments. He will vote for the Republican nominee who has been adjudicated by a court to be a rapist. There is nothing there.
There is no moral equivalency.
I know how hard it is for you guys in the Republican Party still to break away, but one lesson we're learning right now is that Chris Sununu is not as smart as his dad was.
No, that's for sure. And let me just say this. There is no moral equivalency between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. There's none. And this is what you call negative partisanship, okay? For the political scientists out there. This is a very powerful tool. Negative, that is a perfect example right there, that you are so indoctrinated that you have to stick with your party, that it doesn't matter if the guy's a fucking convicted felon who tried to overturn the government and who wants to tear up the Constitution, wants to quote Hitler, wants to go down the litany of things that Donald Trump has said and done and plans to do. That doesn't be a dictator, all of that doesn't matter. He's part of my team, he's part of my party, he's better than that guy over there, the Democrat. No,
it is an astounding
fundamentally
conceit.
Wrong with this, and that is where we have to break through. It is, and that is someone who's considered a normie. Joe Biden, you do not have to agree with all of his policies. I don't agree with everything Joe Biden does, but you know what? The alternative is unthinkable. What are we doing here? We're going to Joe Biden is worse than Donald Trump and everything they know that he's doing. A guy that is, under indictment for nuclear secrets, violating classified documents, violating his oath of office. He wants to be a dictator, but oh God, Joe Biden's a Democrat. No, we can't have him. What is wrong with these people?
It's like their points of pain on Biden are so trivial and such a catalog of imaginary demons. It's insane. We've got people like, well, I can't vote for Biden because gas is $3.65 a gallon in my, neighborhood. Okay,
not in Texas, by the way. Gas is like $2.50.
Oh, not here. Not here, by the way. It's under. It's in the twos now.
Here too, in Virginia, in the DC area.
But what I'm saying is, they've decided that the republic, the Constitution, the law, and democracy come second to party ID.
Yes.
And that is a really dangerous and sick conceit. And they've got to unfuck themselves on this if they want to take a role where they claim that they are arbiters of truly conservative principles. Now we know they're not, but it is an astounding degree of slippage every time I see that guy talk.
It is, and he is, like I said, he's supposed to be the poster child for the normies.
Right.
And then I'm like, that's why I'm so worked up over it. When I saw it last night, it was like at 11:30 last night. I sent it in the chat and I was just like, have you all seen this? Are you watching this? Because this is what we're up against. Like I said, this is the guy that people who we are targeting are looking to for guy like, okay, well, how's he going to go? Well, how's he going to go? Or, doesn't really like Trump, but oh, well, if he says it's okay. And it's like, no, this is like what we are trying to break through on with everything that we're doing. So people have a permission structure to understand that, no, there is no moral equivalence. No, you should not be voting for a convicted felon. That's not okay just because he has an R next to his name.
And you
like,
don't
there's something really wrong with it.
You don't have to compromise with evil. You don't have to say, well, I'll just take a little bit of fascism because God knows Joe Biden might appoint 14 Superior Court justices somewhere.
Well, who are black and Muslim. God forbid.
Oh no.
You know what I mean? Like I just it's scary. You can't have just the tip fascism, as you say.
No, you cannot.
Speaking of that, Donald Trump was in court this week in DC and in New York. In New York today, DC on Tuesday. And his lawyers actually argued in this immunity case, right? Everyone knows that his lawyers are trying to say he has immunity from whatever he did in office. No, he's immune from it now as a private citizen. And most constitutional scholars are going, no, because then that would mean he could do anything as president and never get convicted or brought up on charges for it. Yep. And his lawyers are trying to say, well, he has to be impeached and removed before they can pursue criminal charges for stuff that he did in office. And the 3-judge panel in the DC Circuit Court, they were basically like, I don't think so. They were very skeptical of it. But I want to play a little bit for those who actually have lives and don't listen to DC Circuit Court cases like we do, and those of us in the media. But here's a clip of John Sauer, who is Trump's attorney, arguing this, trying to answer a question being challenged by one of the judges about what if he sends like SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political opponent? He doesn't get convicted for that. He doesn't get brought up in charges for that. Take a listen.
I asked you a yes or no question. Could a president who ordered SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political rival who was not impeached, would he be subject to criminal prosecution?
If he were impeached and convicted first. And
so your answer is no.
My answer is qualified yes.
A president has to have immunity. And the other thing is I did nothing wrong.
So first of all, qualified yes is not a thing. Okay.
Right.
That's not a thing.
Especially in court.
Right. That's not a thing. So basically, his lawyers and Donald Trump's position is he could literally shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and not be subject to criminal prosecution because the president should be able to do whatever they want as president. Now,
I really wish there's a part of me, Tara, that wishes Joe Biden would call a press conference in the White House and say, today, as president, I'm going to declare that Donald Trump will be arrested and expelled from the country and his citizenship revoked.
That's where I was going with you.
Do this because I have unlimited power. I am further going to have Donald Trump Jr. Arrested and shaved and thrown into prison. Just for
Next
fun.
Jared
I
Kushner.
want to. I'm going to wiretap the Trump family's phones, and I'm going to order the FBI to go through every single piece of paper I find there, and I'm going to retroactively declare that they have committed crimes, and they're going to go to, and I'm going to determine their sentences. There's a part of me that just wishes Biden would troll them on this because it's beyond the valley of ludicrous. And if you heard Barack Obama say this, or Joe Biden say this, or Bill Clinton say this, the Republican Party would burn the country to the goddamn ground.
I mean, with the Republicans flipped out over Barack Obama saluting a Marine with a latte in his hand and wearing a tan suit. I mean, I don't need to say anything else so could you imagine? I remember a time, and I was part of this back then, where we thought that Barack Obama was so progressive and so dangerous that people used to play the Soviet Union's, Russia's national anthem,
International.
Right. To introduce anything concerning Barack Obama. And this was before he even stepped foot in the White House. This is just as a candidate.
That's right.
So, I mean, you've got to be freaking kidding me that this guy gets away with making these types of legal arguments and says these things over and over again. I mean, Trump doubles and triples down on this. I'm the president. I should be able to do whatever I want. He says this all the time, constantly. He said it again today. He's going to keep saying it over and over again.
If you're a Trump supporter watching the show tonight, I have some bad news for you. If you probably you're probably a person who likes to say you're a constitutionalist.
Right.
There is literally nothing in the U.S. Constitution that says the president has unlimited fiat power over everything, everywhere, all the time. It doesn't exist. The founders had express desires not to give the president, the executive, unlimited powers. Why? Because they had just overthrown a king and did not want It did not want the American executive to be a king. And unlike most of you, I've read the Federalist and Anti-Federalist papers. I've read the founding documents backward and forward. I've read the transcripts of the goddamn Constitutional Convention. None of this existed in the minds of those people to say, you know, we should let the president murder people if he wants to.
Right.
It didn't exist.
Because they just fought a revolutionary war to free themselves from that type of behavior. That's what the king was able to do. The idea of an imperial presidency has always been something that the constitutionalists have argued against. That's why we have 3 branches of government. That's part of the genius of the way our system was designed by the founding fathers to avoid this very thing. So it's
and folks, listen, before Trump in our lifetimes, the greatest abuse of executive power was Richard Nixon.
Right.
And you know who were the most stern critics of Richard Nixon? Conservatives.
That's correct.
Conservatives.
Right. Real conservatives that were actually intellectually honest about
I don't ever need to hear a goddamn word from the National Review boys or the Weekly Standard, or not Weekly Standard, that's gone, or the Breitbart boys ever again about executive overreach and democratic abuse of power. Look, I used to be a critic of Eric Holder because he towed up to the line a lot.
Me too.
Bill Barr was washing Trump's fucking car.
I know.
This is unacceptable, people. If you're a conservative, especially, the idea that you're going to have so much power vested in the president that he never has to worry about doing anything illegal.
Yeah, right, with no consequence.
Outside the 4 corners of the description of his job in the Constitution. It's crazy.
And you know what? The byproduct of this is something that we've already seen, which is this uptick in political violence. And January 6th was the biggest example of this. But we have seen all these incidents of political violence over the years with Trump accelerating this because he's giving people a permission structure to do whatever under the guise of patriotism, or well, it's for my country, and that's what our dear leader has told us to do, and that includes what happened to the judges in these cases, right? That includes recently there was articles out that talking about this rise in political violence. I mean, Trump was asked after he made his appearance in court on Tuesday if he would condemn political violence, because he said that if he loses and he's convicted and he loses, then there's going to be bedlam. I mean, he's laying the foundation again, just like he did with January 6th. And so he's thriving off of this. And then we found out that Roger Stone in 2020 had a former NYPD officer who was a friend of his that was working security. They were planning to they were talking about assassinating Congressman Swalwell and Jerry Nadler.
Right.
Then how is this relevant now? Well, Rick, you want to talk about what happened to you on Sunday? Monday.
So Monday night, my fiance and I are dead asleep. It's 3 a.m. and we hear banging on one of the front doors. Now, I have a very tall fence out front, gates, security, all this stuff. Then our phones both start ringing simultaneously. I walked out through one of the corridors from my bedroom, looked outside, and I knew what it was right away. I knew we were being swatted. There were 10 or 15 vehicles lining up down the street, SWAT team truck, ambulances, police cars for days, the entire package. I see guys with lights and guns all over. I walk out in my skivvies and a t-shirt, cold night, not a pretty picture, to be confronted by cops with guns. I knew enough to put my hands over my head. I've been swatted before. But here's the thing, folks. Somebody called and gave the same message that they called Judge Chutkan, the same message they called with Jack Smith, the same message I know they called with at least 2 other individuals who were swatted, who have not gone public yet, but I'm aware of of what happened. They called the 911 and said, I killed my girlfriend, or killed my wife. I've got a gun. I want to die. Something to that effect.
Right.
And so those code words set off the response. Now, I'd been swatted before, but it had been a few years. And luckily, these officers who were Leon County Sheriff's Office was extraordinarily professional. They were extraordinarily kind. The millisecond I said I'm being swatted, they were like, guns down, Channel 3, it's over.
Yeah.
And they could not have been more helpful and kind. But let me tell you, folks, here's why people swat people. Here's what they do. And in my case, I know what they thought would happen. Because I've had MAGA assholes show up and pound on my doors and back door and front door, scream at me at my property. They thought, oh, well, maybe Rick will come out with a gun and the SWAT team will kill him. That's what they wanted. That is the objective of swatting people, is to get people killed.
Yep.
Now, the low-life, bullshit, MAGA, limp dick, incel, Tindy-eaten motherfucking basement dweller who did this, I'm telling people, as I've said before, I am offering, if anyone wants to find it, the verified identity of this person, I'm offering a $25,000 reward, no questions asked, your identity will be protected. Here's what happened. I didn't come out with a gun because I knew what was happening. Some people who do not have the same knowledge of these things are going to get killed. The objective of swatting is to get people killed. Now, my family, my kids have been through a ton of this shit before. They've been through a ton of this harassment before. So I have a short fuse about this now. The fact that it's happening to people all over the place right now. And by the way, as early as 2012, I said, this shit is wrong. No one should do this on any side of the political equation. Stop it. People will get killed.
Well, it's become so popular now. The FBI actually has like a unit that tracks this. And
well,
from what I understand,
and I'm hopeful that that's.
Well, yes, but there's been 500 incidents of swatting in the last, I don't know if it was a year or 2 years, but it's increased dramatically because it's a form of domestic terrorism. But go ahead.
It is. And I will say this, the purpose of terrorism is to terrorize. And, you know, God bless Renee. She's smart as a whip, tough as nails, but it's still hard to have dozens of cops around the house with AR-15s banging on the door at 3 a.m. And she is not somebody who had lived through this directly. She knows a lot about it, but had not lived through it directly. And both of us were sitting up in bed till 5:30 in the morning, like the adrenaline pumps. You realize you just dodged a literal bullet. Yeah. It is shocking to me how casually people do this. It is shocking to me how trivially the folks on the right responded to this. Mm-hmm. I had people on the right who were like, you're either lying, or what about Marjorie Taylor Greene? What was wrong with Marjorie Taylor Greene? That was wrong to do, as I've said since 2012. But the idea in Trump world, in MAGA world, in Stone world, and by the way, Roger Stone is a proximate touchstone to a lot of these kind of terror tactics.
Yeah. Yep.
The idea that this is okay and it's excusable and it's fine, and if I got killed, how funny, we trolled him to death. I'm sorry, folks. If you are in the Republican Party and you think this is an okay tactic, and you think political violence is an okay tactic, and you think that threatening people's lives and terrorizing people is an okay tactic, you are going to reap what you sow. You will not like the outcome of a world like that. And frankly, again, if anyone has any information on the person who did this to me and to the other folks, and it was all the same message, it's the same person.
Yeah, okay? It's coordinated. It's coordinated.
Anybody wants to shoot me an email, my email's out there. You can easily find it, or DM me on Twitter. If you've got the person's verified identity, I will not submit your identity to anybody. You prove to me who it is, you get 25 grand. It's easy. It's easy. But I will say to the person that is going to get ratted out or caught eventually, I will hunt you down. I will prosecute you until your life is over. I have time, resources, and spite. And the idea that you can terrorize people and threaten people, they wanted me to shut up, Tara. They want me to go back and go, oh man, this is too much. I can't handle it. Oh no.
This is not the way to do that. Obviously, they don't know Rick Wilson.
I'm not going to talk bad about Trump now because they threatened me. Get fucked. Okay. Right. I will go harder now. I will fight harder now. I will press on more intensely now. I will not be bullied or terrorized out of a deeply held political belief that Donald Trump is pure fucking evil. I will not be bullied or terrorized by a bunch of people whose incestuous, mouth-breathing, cousin fucking bullshit makes them feel like they've been put down by the world, and they don't try to improve themselves. They just try to drag the rest of the world down with them. This is not cool. It is not acceptable. I will never tolerate it, but I will also never bend the knee. It will never happen. Try harder.
Well, amen, my friend. We're glad you're all okay. And, you know, this is our lives. You know, we've all experienced some level of this type of intimidation. Yep. And it's obviously it hasn't worked. And, you know, this is something, this is not the America that I want. That's why we fight so hard to do what we do, to try to vanquish this evil, because it is. And it doesn't stop until they pay a price. They have to be vanquished. They have to be tossed into the ash heap of history where they belong. And it takes all of us to do that. And, you know, fighting back against this requires a certain amount of dedication and commitment that I don't think the American people have had to face in decades. What happened on Capitol Hill this week. And I started to get some hope that Democrats are starting to understand that they have to punch back at these bastards. Because if you saw the chaos on Capitol Hill this week with Hunter Biden and the contempt of Congress nonsense, you know, we've got like the breaking news before we came on air tonight. The United States and the UK are involved in missile strikes in Yemen because you've got the Houthi rebels that are backed by Iran bombing shipping lanes and things over there in the Red Sea, which is a problem. And so finally the US gave them a warning and they said, all right, that's it now. And now we're like, you know, almost in a hot war here in the Middle East. This is real shit. This is what's really going on in the world. Our President Biden, actually has to do real adult presidenting things like handle stuff like this. And you have Republicans who are on Capitol Hill literally arguing over dick pics of Hunter Biden and arguing over pornographic pictures of him being shown in a committee room. And this is what they're focusing on. It was an absolute clown show. It was insane. And as someone who spent many years on Capitol Hill, I've seen many oversight hearings. I remember the 13 hours that Hillary Clinton testified. You know, to watch what they're doing is just, they are not serious people. I want to show some of the Democrats, and we have a recap of this and the way that they fought back against what the Republicans were doing. And I applaud them, especially Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. I love her. She's on fire. On fire. I love her. And Jared Moskowitz too. And Jamie Raskin. They were not pulling any, and Swalwell, they were not pulling any punches. Here's a recap.
So seriously, is this a joke?
Let me tell you why nobody wants to talk to y'all behind closed doors, because y'all lie. That's just the bottom line. You have done it thus far in this investigation. You have done it this far as it relates to this committee.
Here is the subpoena to Representative Scott Perry, who did not comply. I'd like to enter this into the record. Here is the subpoena to Mark Meadows. I'd like to enter this into the record, who did not comply.
In every single hearing, y'all spin. I don't know how y'all are still standing right now, because you should be quite dizzy from all the spinning that you're constantly doing when it comes to spinning the truth.
You guys have been taken over by an absolute con man, and now you're acting like members of a religious cult who don't even remember how you got in the first place. Showing dick pics in this committee room.
Here is the subpoena to Jim Jordan, who did not comply with a lawful subpoena. I'd like to enter that into the record. Here is the subpoena to Mo Brooks, who did not comply. I'd like to enter that into the record.
We are here because my colleagues on the other side of the aisle have no positive agenda to run on. They have not accomplished one thing in their year in the majority to improve the lives of the people around this country.
But instead, you want to play games because you found out that it was your leader that decided that he wanted to propagate an insurrection on our country. So don't tell me that you care about the Constitution, because you don't.
Here is the subpoena to Mr. Biggs, who did not comply. I'd like to enter that into the record. And here's the subpoena to Mr. McCarthy, who did not comply. I'd like to enter that into the record.
How dumb do you think the American people are that you would seek to hold someone in contempt when you are 608 days, 15 hours, 21 minutes, and 47 seconds out of compliance of your own subpoena?
I think it's really important to remember that when the word hypocrisy is thrown around.
by some of our friends on the other side of the aisle.
And Donald Trump converted the presidency into an instrument for self-enrichment. He raked in millions of dollars from the most corrupt governments on earth.
So getting to the truth was never their actual goal.
Now that's how you fight back.
You know what? I wrote today a little bit about, or somewhere about this, or Senator wrote it. It's been a long day.
Yeah, it's only Thursday.
That at this point, we're finally seeing the Democrats reducing the incentives for the Republicans to do these kind of show trials.
Yes.
Because who got the most traction out of this? The Democrats.
That's right.
I mean, you ended up with Jim Comer clearly unable to stand. And when he talked about dick pics, he didn't want to stand up to reveal how excited he was about it. And you had Nancy Mace acting like she was the reject on a Real Housewives knockoff.
Yeah.
I mean,
Nancy Mace.
That woman, she's another wannabe VP candidate.
Yes, I said that she was vying for the Miss MAGA competition on Capitol Hill from Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene, because now Nancy Mace is in that same hearing actually had the audacity to say that Hunter Biden didn't have the balls to testify. Mind you, he was sitting there in the audience and has been willing to testify publicly. He doesn't want to do it behind closed doors so they can lie and manipulate.
Because he knows what'll happen. He'll lie about it.
So he's like, I'm here. And she says that. And then she had the audacity to talk about white privilege. She needs to shut the fuck up. Okay, about white privilege. And Jasmine Crockett let her have it on that too. Well, we posted it on our socials.
The women of MAGA in the House, they really are. I mean, they make the Palins look like Downton Abbey.
Yes.
It's astounding.
Yeah, they're trash. They're all of them. They're trash. And it's just
Nancy Mace just misses Kevin McCarthy so much.
Wow. I'm sure he knows more. But this is the way you've got to fight back. And I'm encouraged that Democrats in the House are, finding their footing and doing this. More of this, please.
It's
more
time.
Of this.
Yeah,
please,
it's time.
More of this. Well, you know what? We had there was also some other things going on this week. We found out that Donald Trump got $8 million while he was in office from the Chinese. That's
in
what
the
Jamie
first
Raskin
2 years of the Trump administration.
Yeah.
That's only in the first 2 years, and that's only limited reporting because Jim Comer and Jim Jordan blocked the investigation from going any further forward. I interviewed Congressman Raskin on my podcast this week, and he just hammered it.
Yeah. Raskin is a godsend. He really is. And I'm glad we're not going to lose him to the Senate. They need him in the House.
Yes.
Which, by the way, Republicans have a 1 seat majority now, 1 or 2, because a 2 seat majority because another member is retiring and leaving at the end of the month to go take a college presidency job.
And Chip Roy and Matt Gaetz and the rest of the Cuckoo Caucus are mad at Mike Johnson right now.
Right, because Mike Johnson's trying to negotiate a deal with Senator Schumer so they don't have another government shutdown, like actually governing. I mean, he's still a crazy, Christian nationalist person, but he's trying to govern at least. And you've got the MAGA crazies actually talking about possibly kicking him out too if he goes through with reaching a compromise deal with the Democrats to keep the government open. It's just, these people are loony. They're loony. They chaos is the point for them, and they don't deserve to ever be in power. That's right. Michelle said, Speaker Jeffries, please. You know what? That would be lovely. The first Black Speaker of the House. Good for him. And I hope they get it next year, because at this point, the Republicans cannot govern at all. Dick pics versus, real presidential adulting and trying to govern for the people of the United States. It's a binary choice, people.
Completely.
On that note, we will see you next week. Like I said, we're on every Thursday now. And on Monday, I do believe we're doing a special Iowa caucus YouTube show.
That's the plan. We're going to have a big old palooza.
We're going to chat on 7 o'clock on Monday here on the YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Tell your friends, come subscribe to the Lincoln Project YouTube so you'll get alerted and you'll get exclusive content there. And I think we're calling it the countdown. The countdown. It's 2024, folks.
Countdown. I love this. It's got some juice to it. I like it.
Yes. Michelle and I have been working on it. So, but we'll see you back here on Monday at 7 for the special Iowa caucus show, and then next Thursday for the breakdown.
Yeah, girl, we did a whole hour.
There was a lot to talk about, Rick. It's the first show of us
And
together for the new year. There's a lot to talk about,
All right, folks. We'll see you next week.